More characters means more fun, right? As long as each character has their own moves and special abilities to give them their own identity, that's good enough for me. With that said, I thought it was time to put together a list of my 5 favorite optional characters and the 5 I avoid. The only rule I have for favorites is that they play differently than the main character, and for the 5 I avoid, anything is fair. Let's start off with my 5 favorites. The first person I'm starting off with is probably the coolest character on this list. At the beginning of the game you start off with Juno, who has the ability to go through fire without taking any damage. Later you unlock Vela, who has the ability to swim underwater and never runs out of air. Finally you unlock what is arguably the best character in the game, Lupus, your canine companion. His guns are on his back, he has hover shoes, and that's still not the best part. Halfway through the game, every character gets a jetpack that charges at a station and a brand new look. Juno gets a gas mask and more armor, Vela gets shorts, and Lupus drives a freaking tank. A freaking tank! And it still hovers! Normally I'd challenge you to find me something cooler than that, but in all honesty, you'd just be wasting your time. When you think of the classic Mega Man series, you normally don't think of optional characters, but when the opportunity presents itself, I always seem to choose the anti-hero, Bass. In Mega Man 2 The Power Fighters, his dash move is the only one that can work in the air. And he can call on his mechanical dog Treble to perform a powerful charge attack at the enemy. If you downloaded him for Mega Man 10, his dash can be used for a long jump. He can shoot in just about any direction. Although he can't move and shoot at the same time and his shots are weak, he can fire them rapidly. Plus, he can join up with Treble just like he did in Mega Man 8. And take a look at his victory pose. You can almost see what's on his mind. This power feels good. Feels like pants! Speaking of anti-heroes, I can't forget about Shadow. After all, I play as him as much as I play as Sonic in just about any game he's in. But since he plays too much like Sonic, except in Sonic Battle, he's excluded from this list, so in his place I'll be putting in Knuckles. The ability to glide around in the air without worrying about a flight meter never gets old for me, nor does dive bombing, and if I want to go back up and fly around again, I can just climb up the walls. This made the treasure hunting levels far more enjoyable for me. His martial arts have always felt a bit basic to me, but at least they get the job done.
Good enough.
Second place.
Yeah, I know, most of the characters in Diddy Kong Racing look like they could be in their own preschool TV show, but the game is still fun to play. I used to always pick Tip Top. That is, until I unlocked the best character in the game.
I'm TT.
If you beat all of TT's time records, you have the privilege to play as the giant talking stopwatch who had the best overall stats in the game. In most kart racing games, the characters normally don't feel that different from each other, but with TT, I noticed a difference right away. Though it is kinda weird to see him talking to himself.
Hi there, I'm TT.
What? Another kart racing game? Well, yeah, but this is my list after all. In many of the Mario Kart games, I had at least 2 characters I would always choose. But that's not the case with Mario Kart 64, as there was only one character I'd pick. Why did I choose Toad? In this game, you are to me. Your speed was constant, unlike the heavy class characters who took forever to get their speed up, and your lightweight made it okay for you to go off-road for a while without losing too much speed. But the real reason I always chose Toad is because he was the only one I could ever pull off that wall glitch in Mario Kart 64. You know the trick I'm talking about. The really hard trick that couldn't be done on your first or 16th try, but I was able to do it back then with Toad 3 times in the same race. This was my total time for all 3 laps, and you can bet that I entered that in the Nintendo Power Contest for a chance to win that gold controller. Hey, it was legal since it didn't say you couldn't. I didn't use a cheating device, and a few of the entries I saw were under a minute. I didn't win a gold controller. In fact, I never even got the refrigerator magnet for entering, which still eats away at me to this very day. That's rage coming back. Give me the list of the 5 optional characters I avoid now! In all fairness, Silvia from Beautiful Joe 2 isn't that bad, but when compared to Joe, she'll just have to cheer from the sidelines. Instead of Mach Speed, Silvia gets Record, which allows her to hit 3 times from 1 hit. But if you get hit while using it, you take 3 times the damage. Instead of punches, she gets her pom-pom guns, which are slow, and even though you can build up their power with slow motion, they just don't feel satisfying. In Red Hot Rumble, it's a completely different story.
Fourth place.
Bomberman Jitters allows you to play as Shadow Bomb, White Bomber, and for the first time in the 3D story Bomberman games, Max. By pressing Y, you can switch between the characters at any time. Max can't use the Kara Bombs that give you the special abilities and allow you to get to other areas. Instead, he gets the Hyper Plasma Bomb that when fully charged kills every minor enemy on screen. The problem with that is, by the time it's fully charged, you could have killed them all already and moved on to the next part. This makes me kinda glad that Regulus wasn't a playable character. Can't imagine how they would have screwed him up. If you're wondering why there wasn't a character from the Smash Bros. Series in the favorites list, it's because I have more than one favorite character in each game, so meh. But when it comes to someone I avoid, there's only one character. Pichu is so bad that not only do I not have to show you footage of how short its attacks are, or how pathetic it is, even though I already did, all you really need to do to see how terrible Pichu is read the trophies. Compared with Pikachu, Pichu is a tad more nimble and a little more difficult to hit. Those are the only two advantages, however, and since Pichu damages itself when it uses electric attacks, it's best suited for handicap matches. Even though Pichu's tough to catch, it's easy to throw its tiny frame great distances. Awful. Let's read more. Pichu is the lightest character in Super Smash Bros. Melee, and it's top of the class in weakness too. For Pichu, it's all about scampering here and there to pick up items that will help it survive. The first warp and agility causes 1 point of damage to Pichu, and the second causes 3, so try to limit the number of times you use the move. When the game tells you the character is bad, that's a sign that the character is bad. Get lost, crybaby. Don't come back till you are Raichu.
Second place.
The only thing surprising about Big being on this list is that he's not number 1, but I'll explain why when I get there. Let's go over Big's qualities first. Well, he's got 4 stages in Sonic Adventure. Well, that was short. How about the negatives? He's slow, he's boring, his IQ is probably lower than his age, and he talks like Barney the dinosaur. Enough said. Big is one of the biggest mysteries in video games. Every time you look at him, you just have to ask, why? Why was he created in the first place? The only reason Big isn't number 1 on my list is because when you look at him, you don't expect much from him. I mean, just look at him! What would you expect him to do? But you! Mumbo-Jumbo had so much potential and wasted it! His only true purpose in Banjo-Tooie is to go to a Mumbo pad and dance, then go back to his hut. That's it. Why did he even need to be playable in the first place? Maybe if he did some other things I would have kept playing as him, or actually looked forward to playing as him. He could have levitated, he could have shot fireballs, he could have turned his enemies into a pumpkin or a termite and then squashed them with a washing machine. But no. He jumps, dances, and stands in one spot rotating his stick while the enemies run away from him. It's insulting that he thinks he deserves to be on the cover with Banjo and Kazooie. The only thing he deserves is to have eggs shot at his face. Mumbo, you were such a disappointment that I made this video just so I could rant about you. That's saying something. Well, that does it for this list of my 5 favorite optional characters and the 5 I avoid. If you have your own list, go ahead and leave a comment about your own 5 favorite optional characters and 5 you would avoid.